Welcome to Rom Wills Money Matters, supplying DIY businesses. Now, lately I've been talking about DIY businesses and how to get into them, but I'm gonna tell you what a good business is. Now, this ain't like something a typical solopreneur type of thing or a small business thing. You're gonna have to have some money. But you can actually, if you create maybe an S corp, regular corporation, business type of thing, you can actually supply DIY businesses with the tools that they need to actually do what they need for business. Because I don't care what it is, whether it's making something, they need the supplies for it, or indeed somebody could be someone like who's making food or some different food product, supplying those products, the manufacturing. Hey, manufacturing, that could help too. But now, usually with the DIY businesses and stuff, artisan type of businesses, they doing their own stuff, but they need the material. That's the key thing. And I'm gonna tell you what, not just with DIY businesses, but business to business. And you could even though I'm talking about DIY businesses, you can expand this to any business, like the restaurant business. Okay, restaurants, they still need all those materials. They need all those plastic forks. They need all those styrofoam containers. They need those cups. They need the napkins. If you're the type of business who can supply that, or I know of, you got some businesses, they manufacture toilet paper. In fact, there's one business that I've gotten some stuff from, it's actually a black-owned company. They've manufactured toilet paper and they send it out to people. But in this episode, let's focus just on the DIY businesses. I don't care what it is, they need something. Like, okay, say someone is in the t-shirt business and they design t-shirts. And, like I said, when I was talking about it before, they might even have a machine where they could print out stuff fresh. Okay, that's real cool. Now, one, you might supply whatever they need for the machine. Now, I'm not sure because I haven't done that. I was thinking about it, so I don't know whatever's needed for the machine, what materials, what type of inks or stuff like that. But one thing they do need, they need the shirts themselves. So what if you have a business that actually manufactures the shirts? And I know sometimes they get them wholesale from overseas. I'm speaking from the perspective of being in the United States, but there's still some places that can make them fresh. What about the tools that they might need? Somebody needs to make those tools. And now, like I said, those aren't the businesses that have to supply the businesses. They got to be larger. You got to have a warehouse. You have to have the products. Or I'm gonna tell you what, one business that I deal with, I get like little packaging that I can ship books in. Like I can ship single books, a couple books in. And they're real big. They send me thick old catalogs all the time. But what are they actually doing? They supplying businesses. Or I'm gonna tell you what, like I say, even going beyond just the DIY, I'd say vending. Sometimes you need products there. You need the materials. Or if, like, say you in the business of making lotions. You're in the business of making lotions. A business is needed that creates those containers. And in fact, I think there are some DIY, more artisan type of glass makers. Now, only thing with that is, like I said, it's not typical for a solopreneur business, because solopreneur, artists and stuff like that, they usually have to make their stuff, and there's only so much they can do in a period of a day, even if they have some helpers. But if you have a bigger business, you have manufacturing tools, anything like that, you could actually supply the artisans. They still need to be supplied. And I'm gonna tell you what, just in general, business to business, you're actually all right, because it's not directly connected to consumers. Not directly. You still need, the businesses you supply, they need the consumers. But you can supply several businesses. I mean, you have I'll use an example. This doesn't have to do with supplying well, you could say it's supplying a DIY business. Well, it depends on how you interpret it, but book distribution. Book distribution. You have many bookstores. Most of the time, they get most of their materials from book distributors. And indeed, distribution in anything you can make money with. Because you got to think, all right, maybe you're not the type who can deal with customers directly or even have like a particular skill in that area, maybe an artisan skill or DIY skill, but you have some money to invest, you know how to manage, maybe get that manufacturing plan or, you know, figure out something to supply the people. Like all these soap makers out here, they got to get the ingredients from someplace. Like I always talk about shea butter, and I know one brand of shea butter I get, they specifically say it's made by women over in Ghana. And they actually get the material, it's shipped from Ghana, and then they'll put, you know, they'll put it in the jars and everything. But that's still a business. That's still a business, like supplying the business. Because I'm gonna tell you what, in business, you always have to think about all angles. And as I said, with everything going on, a lot of people get into the artisan economy. A lot of people are getting into it. And as more and more people get into it, and now you might say, well, you know, I'm not an artisan, but think about how you can help them out. And let me give you and I've talked about this before, let me give a bonus for this episode. One of the things I'm looking at, because, and I can halfway do a different video on it, but I'm gonna flow with this one. I was looking at all these malls that are closing, all these stores that are closing. I'm thinking, if I get that big space, or some people told me to say when, so I'll say, okay, when I get that big space, host artisan expos and everything. Now, I'm not making anything myself. All I'm doing is creating a space. And in fact, a friend of mine was telling me about a friend of hers who has a space just for events. So in a way, that's supplying DIY businesses. And I want you to think about it. And like I said, that's more for people who have more resources, can be bigger. And indeed, maybe think about buying into that type of business or even investing. See, let me throw in an investment tidbit. Look at the type of businesses that manufacture the raw materials for any business and look into those. Boom. Because as long as those businesses exist, they got to buy material. Any business that has to buy materials, whether it's a DIY business, solopreneur, artisan, major corporation, they need supplies. If you supplying that, you can make a lot of money. All right? Or your business. Like I said, it's typically not a one-person operation. Notice I said typically, you never know, but typically. So, something to think about, all right? That's all I have for now. Y'all know the deal. Let's go make that money.